seems like Elizabeth Smart recently came home temporarily from her LDS mission in Paris in order to testify at the trial of her alleged kidnapper, rapist, Brian David Mitchell. Speaking of her captivity in Mitchell's care, Elizabeth at one point said, quote, "I felt like prostitutes had a better life than I did. I told him I was just a little girl. A 14-year-old girl against a grown man doesn't even out so much," end quote. The newspaper stated that Mitchell would constantly remind her that her kidnapping was, quote, "the work of God." Speaking of Mitchell, Elizabeth added, quote, "He said I was very lucky and that I was being saved from the world, that I had been called by God to be his wife," end quote. I feel very bad for Elizabeth Smart for having to have gone through this and for having to continue to relive it. But what is difficult to understand is why she is out on an LDS mission when it was from the very roots of this faith she's now sharing that her alleged abductor drew his ideas. What do I mean by that? 33% of the founding prophet Joseph Smith's wives were in their teens. He had 14-year-old wives, just like Elizabeth Smart. LDS author Todd Compton wrote in his book In Sacred Loneliness, quote, "In the group of Smith's well-documented wives, 11, 33%, were 14 to 20 years old when they married him." Compton continues, quote, "The teenage representation is the largest, though the 20-year and 30-year groups are comparable, which contradicts the Mormon folk wisdom that sees the beginnings of polygamy as an attempt to care for older, unattached women. These data suggest that sexual attraction was an important part of the motivation for Smith's polygamy. In fact, the command to multiply and replenish the earth was part of the polygamy theology. So non-sexual marriage was generally not in the polygamous program as Smith taught it." Mitchell was an active Latter-day Saint. He learned all of this, got all these ideologies from being an active Latter-day Saint. Mitchell even played the role of Satan in the LDS temple, theatrical representations of the beginning of the fall when he was an active Latter-day Saint. From a seed sprouts a tree. From the tree falls the fruit. From the fruit comes a seed. And the cycle of sickness goes on and on and on. Let's have a word of prayer.